It was technically a failure. I grabbed up those mystery bags of jewelry that I got at a garage sale, and I'm getting ready to do a live sale with them, along with some of my other jewelry. Even though I run so many live sales, I am so nervous about doing a jewelry one. And I used to run jewelry live sales on Whatnot all the time. Not sure why I'm so nervous about this. I guess because you're always wondering, are people going to come to the show? Are they going to buy things? Am I going to sell anything? All of those anxiety-ridden questions go through your head. I'm just going to dive in and do it. I'll let you know when I'm done whether or not I sold anything. Okay, I ran my first live jewelry sale on Niknax.net. I made so many mistakes and I was flubbing up and my phone fell down a couple times. I was just so dang nervous, but everybody was so supportive. I did make a couple of sales. Let me show you those. So what I was doing is, as things would sell, this is a little scabbard pin, I would put them in the baggies with the number that was associated with who bought it and how much they paid for it. Helps with shipping. So I sold that pin, and then I sold this necklace, which I think my friend Sherry gave it to me. So I don't think I have any cost into it. I don't have any cost into this bug scabbard item either, because I sold so much of my bugs earlier in other shows when I was on Whatnot. I sold the bug for $1 and the necklace for $3. So I made a whole $4. Yay! It was technically a failure, but I did learn something, and I'm trying to rethink how I want to do my next jewelry live sale. First thing I learned in this box here is with the LED lights, it got really, really hot, and my phone also heated up. So I'm going to rethink where I'm going to do my next show. As you just saw in the previous clip, I ran my first jewelry sale. Wasn't exactly successful. I have had so many failures. Oh my gosh, one fail after another. And why am I still smiling? Because I am still succeeding. I am actually on track this year for making the most amount of money I have ever made as a part-time reseller. I thought I would walk around and do a little vlog. I like doing this. Oh, let's go over here in the grass. It just rained a little bit, so I don't think the grass will be that wet over here. There we go. Ah, nice. Under the trees. So anyways, I have been a part-time reseller for 12 years. Started in July. I think I might have started a few days at the end of June, but I always count it as July as my anniversary. And I also started my YouTube channel in July. It's kind of a weird thing. I don't know. That wasn't on purpose. It just happened that way. Shout out to all of my subscribers and all of my viewers. I just really appreciate all of you. I love reading all the comments. If you are new to my channel, or you're just seeing this for the first time, please subscribe. I am still trying to grow my channel here on YouTube. You know what? Hold on a second. I gotta show you something. Ooh, I love finding big sticks because we have bonfires all the time. I'm like, oh, free wood, free sticks. I'm not going to be able to carry that giant one home, but maybe I can pick up some of these smaller ones on the way back. Okay. So let's talk about failures and successes, right? So some of my failures were me going to thrift stores or garage sales and having analysis paralysis where you can't pick anything up because you don't know about it, you're afraid of making mistakes. That car was a bit noisy. I had a lot of that. And when I first started, there wasn't anything such as Google Lens, or you kind of did your best trying to look things up. It took a long time, and depending on what you're selling, if you're selling clothing, you have to know your brands and you have to know your trends. And I started out selling fashion items, and I was like, well, I kind of know. I kind of know those items. I mean, I go shopping all the time, right? And then I found, you know, the Crazy Lamp Lady, and I was watching her videos about vintage, and I really liked the vintage market more than I liked the fashion. But I still pick up clothing, shoes, handbags, belts, you know, jewelry. And even though that first jewelry sale that I just had on Niknax.net, I was really struggling. I was way on the struggle bus with that. I'm still gonna try to work on that and get it down to a better, you know, experience for me and for the buyers. I think there is an opportunity there, and I definitely want to take advantage of that. So some of my failures in the beginning were thrifting wrongs. I still pick up thrifting wrongs. It's been 12 years. Yeah, 2013. I started this in 2013. It's been 12 years and I still pick up thrifting wrongs. And if that keeps you from doing this, then, you know, you might want to think about working somewhere else part-time or something. You can't be afraid of taking chances on items. And believe it or not, some of my thrifting wrongs, as I thought they were, it was just because where I had them listed, nobody was looking for that particular item, or nobody was seeing it. I was listing things up mostly on eBay when I first started. Then I started cross-posting to Poshmark, but Poshmark was only the fashion items. They eventually expanded it into home and electronics and pets and all kinds of things. They have all kinds of categories now. So I started cross-posting some of my vintage items there, and I was surprised that they sell. So don't discount Poshmark for odd categories. You know what? I don't want to walk through there. I usually walk in between the trees over there. Well, you can't see it, but it's all muddy. I'm going to go around this way. So I had a lot of thrifting wrongs, at least I thought they were. But it turns out I had them probably on the wrong platform. I started doing my live selling on Whatnot first. And I'm technically still on Whatnot. I have a few items listed, but I haven't been doing any live selling on that. I kind of like put that on hiatus for a minute. And then of course Niknax rolled out, and I've been doing all my live selling on there. Well, guess what? All of those items, I mean literally hundreds of them, of what I thought might be what I was calling my thrifting wrongs, turned out to be thrifting rights. So my failure turned into a success. I ended up selling hundreds and hundreds of items because you're matching up vintage buyers with vintage sellers. And when you have a like for like, you know, situation like that, it's so much more successful, and it kind of feeds on itself, and people get to know you, they get to see what you're, you know, putting out there for sale, and it becomes a really, you know, fantastic place. Another failure I've had recently, I've had two failures recently, but I think it was just like a timing issue. One was trying to sell that yarn in the middle of heat waves. I knew that's going to be successful. I know it was, because lots of people popped into that show. Maybe they were just curious. Maybe they were like, you know, and that's okay. I got it out there that I have yarn. I bought some more yarn, as you guys just saw in a previous video. I buy, you know, bags of yarn, and keep adding to that. But I also sell a lot of yarn on eBay. So it's not going to be a complete failure if you can list it multiple places. And I'm not sure what I was thinking. I never listed it up on Poshmark. Maybe that's another avenue to go. I wouldn't list it up on Etsy. I don't think it fits that, because I'm doing just vintage on Etsy, and I'm not going to list it up on whatnot, because I actually only listed occasional items on there just to have it in the buy it now. But like I said, I'm not really focusing on that, but I am keeping that as a placeholder. So my other failure that I am determined to turn into a success is the jewelry. I just got to figure it out. Another ironic thing about me being a part-time reseller, and this is for everyone out there, is it helped me retire early. That was a long time plan. It was one spoke of the plan. I worked full-time. I worked part-time. I did the reselling, and I traded stocks. I trade stocks. And what I did with all of that, like the part-time work and the reselling, all of that money helped me to put more money into my investments, more money into my 401k. It was kind of underpinning like my full-time income. Little things like we would pay a little bit extra on the mortgage, all of that. I'm not going to get into a whole financial thing, what to do, but it's definitely something, if you make a plan, it helps you, and you don't even know it's helping you. It's just kind of there. And little bits, over the years, that added up. That added up to thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. And when my husband retired, he was like, oh, I want you to retire too. And I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to or not. But we ended up selling our house and moving to Michigan. And I ended up retiring with him. And now I'm concentrating on doing my reselling and my gardening and YouTube and traveling. Love all that. And with my reselling, I can travel with my reselling money. So there's all that too. There's a benefit to kind of building this business over basically almost, I don't know how many years beforehand, before we moved. I say I've been here 7 years, so maybe 5 years before I retired, and then came here and retired and been here for 7 years. And so some of the failures in there, thrifting wrongs, breaking items, like, I don't know, all kinds of things. Things get returned to you. That's kind of like a, take a little ding on that kind of thing. Just all kinds of little things that give you little setbacks. Maybe not quite calculating something right, like the shipping, and you take a little hit on the shipping, all of that. There's all these little things that are minus, and you might be like, oh God, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm failing. You cannot be perfect. You cannot. But my successes are that I have been able to flip so many items for so much more than the failures. So much more for the money. All of that. I have been experimenting with all of these new things because all of my successes kind of added up, and now I can take some risk, which is why I was like, oh, let me try yarn, let me try jewelry, let me try whatever my next experiment is, allowing me to learn from those experiences, learn from my failures. Just because you're a C student in something doesn't mean you failed. But I can certainly work myself up to be a B student or an A student in something. There's two sides to every coin. I know this is all corny and probably everything you already know, but it's good to hear about it, because I know sometimes if you're watching, say, the full-time YouTubers, it's just like they're knocking it out of the park. The full-time resellers, they're making so much money, all of that. And if you're comparing yourself against that, yeah, you're gonna feel it. But just know that you can be a part-time person. You can take baby steps and learn it. Just keep figuring out what you want to do. And I'm not saying you have to be a reseller, but whatever it is you want to do, if you want to start a business, a small-time business, a side hustle, learn it, try it, figure it out, stop and start it. Go gung-ho on it, maybe pull back and think about it, reset a little bit, try it again. That's my only advice. You may be able to create some income. I like having multiple income streams. That's important to me. I think that's how you can get out of the rut of working full-time for somebody else. Lots of people talk about that. And I know a lot of people can't wait till they retire. But they're looking like, well, I can't retire until I'm 67 or whatever, till I can collect Social Security. And I'm like, if you're still in your 50s, you can still come up with a plan. You can still start, some sort of side hustle, some sort of part-time job. And it doesn't matter what kind of part-time job. You can do DoorDash, you can, work at a department store, whatever. You can do something and use that money to help you. Oh my goodness, they got something in a cage over there, some sort of animal, and there's a dog. I gotta stop to see what's going on. Another thing that kept me from becoming a reseller right away, I waited almost a year or so. How you think about it, you want to do it, but you can't get started kind of thing. That's okay too. And my biggest hang up was shipping. And I was just like, how do you do it? How does it work? Like, it seems like it's this big giant secret. And I know a lot of people ask about that, not necessarily on my channel, but on other channels. Can you do shipping videos? Can you show how to ship, how to do this, how to do that? I want to become a reseller. So here's the trick with the shipping, is start out with something that's easy to ship. I started out with the clothing. All you need is poly mailers, small boxes for shoes and handbags, things like that. And if you're going to use boxes, you need packing tape, packing material. You need a ability to print out labels. So I already had a printer because I had a home computer and printer. Remember the old PCs, like the big giant desktop PCs? That's what I had when I started. Now, of course, everybody has laptops, but you need a printer to be able to print out the labels. And basically, you're putting in the weight and the dimensions. So you got to try it. Put whatever you're going to ship in a box or in a bag, weigh it, measure the dimensions. So tape measure is your friend. You have to know that. And as you go along, you get more and more accustomed to it. You figure it out. You're like, okay, I know I can ship a mug in a box that's 7 by 7 by 7 inches. And it becomes so much easier as you go along. And you get good at packing. If you're shipping a mug, you have to make sure that you fill the void. And this is true of anything that can break. You got to fill the void, wrap that handle good, wrap all kinds of packing material around the item. I use a lot of paper. I have a lot of bubble wrap. And if you're like, I don't have any of these items, you might, if you order from Amazon, you might have Amazon boxes. All the packing material, the pillows, the brown paper, we call them paper snakes, my friends and I. So now I have my friends giving me all that, because I made sure to tell my friends, hey, this is what I do. I need boxes, packing material. I'll take it all from you guys, no matter what size the box is. My one friend even brings it from work because they get tons of packages every day. I still buy bubble wrap, even though people give me bubble wrap. I want to make sure I have an overabundance of all of that. But if you're just starting out, and that might hold you up, you're like, wait a sec, I'm going to be stuffing my house with boxes and packing material plus my inventory. If that's not something you want to do, you have to have a space for all of that. I just happen to have, you know, extra bedrooms and closets, and then I have a lot of the boxes and things down in the basement, and then I also have my basement annex to store items, because some things have a long tail, and a long tail means you list it up and it could be years before it sells. And you might be like, why would you even buy that? Because you don't know. Sometimes you list the item up and it sells in 24 hours, and other times you list an item up, it sells in 3 months, 6 months, or 5 years. And you just keep it up on eBay until someone comes along and buys it. So you have to have room for your inventory. And if you're going to do live sales, that's another whole can of worms. I'm not going to get into that. But anyways, I just wanted to do a quick reseller vlog, kind of talk about how no matter how many failures I've had, small ones, big ones, whatever, they all led to my successes, and I am succeeding, or I wouldn't be doing this at all. So get out there and do something for yourself, for your family. Don't be afraid to fail, and I hope you have all the success you want.